Yes. So yeah, we're gonna talk Ali. We're gonna talk Ali and everything that's gone on with that. So Ignacio, you tell me firstly, what's your initial reactions in Ali requesting his release?
Well, just like I think anybody else who's requested from relief from this toxic WWE environment that appears to be apparent. Look, they weren't using him to begin with. He hasn't been on TV for 2 months, like you said. I think his jets got cooled way back when. What was the group? The Revolution or the
Retribution.
Retribution or what have
Yeah.
you? Where I mean, they had something going at the beginning when they seemed like they were kind of taking it seriously. He had Dijakovic and Mia Yim or what her WWE name, what have
Yeah,
you,
Mia Yim. Mia
Mia
Yim, yeah.
Yim, and they had something going there, and then it just seemed like they said, "Fuck this." We got Bobby Lashley and these guys who seem like they're doing pretty good. So basically, they jobbed to the Hurt Business, and that cooled their jets. Ali's integrity and his steam, it just cooled down,
Yeah.
and from there it just seemed like they tried to use him to elevate Mansoor, and that was what it was, and he's a great worker and everything, but it's just it seemed like his promos were getting better and stuff. But like I said, WWE just cooled down his jets. A lot of stops and starts didn't allow him to be the character that he probably intended himself to be. So that's probably caused a lot of frustration. And look, I like the guy, but it's just, is he a star? No. But one thing that he's going to benefit, that I think that a lot of the independents around the country are going to benefit, is from this excess amount of superstars that can go and horn their craft. It's like JR says, learn a new hold. They can learn to find themselves. They can get better. So that's better for the independents. It's better for the wrestling fans who love independent wrestling, and good for these guys to horn their craft, because, I mean, I don't think this guy's the biggest deal in the world, does the flip-floppy crap. But, I mean, he can learn. He can be a better character. He can learn to find his character and present himself better on television.
I think, I mean, you say he's not a star, but how do we know? He hasn't been really given the opportunity. Sure. Now, I think early 205 Live times when he was there, he was one of the, the staples in 205 Live, if you like. Him, Cedric Alexander, Neville or Pac, Buddy Murphy. These were some of like the household names when it came to 205 Live. And then obviously once he moved over to the main roster, never really got a chance. However, I feel through certain things he done on SmackDown, I know at a period he was producing his own vignettes that they were playing during his time on SmackDown, and then he moved over to Raw. He gave Retribution a whole new life, because remember, he wasn't Retribution at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like they trusted him to get involved with that. When I think Paul Heyman was running the creative ship, that's when Ali was getting more time and, kind of being featured a bit more. So I think it's harsh to say he's not a star. I think he definitely has star quality. He's not quote unquote WWE. I agree.
Yes.
But I do think this is someone that's creative. He clearly works hard. He clearly brings ideas to the table. And this might just be typical WWE wanting someone, hey, all of that stuff that I just listed, don't do that. You're just, another body, and we'll put you, know your role. You're a body, and we'll put you where we need you to. Don't pipe up, just do your job and do it well, and we'll use you when we need you, sort of thing.
Well, there's definitely, there's potential there. I'm not saying there's not. And that's why it's saying I think it's going to benefit him to make an independent run. And then he'll probably end up, doing a run in Impact or hold forth. I don't know. I don't think Tony Khan's going to be too hot on signing him right away, at least, or anything. But look, I think there just needs to be some personality, some character development there, something where he can present himself in a different or better light. It seemed like he was getting somewhere with some promos. He seems like a guy who's very dedicated and committed to horning his craft. So I think of anything, what he needs to work on is, because he seems like he's a student of the game, and I think he can hone his craft as far as his technical skills, and he can get that from the independents. But I think it's just character development. He's not a WWE guy in the sense that he doesn't have the size, probably the look that Vince McMahon wants. He's not 6 feet, 240, 250, or whatever the limitations that he has set out for himself. But I mean, you know, he can develop his character, develop his promo skills, probably in these bigger independents where they actually do promos. Maybe have a run in Impact. Like I said, AEW right now is just way too fucking crowded for him to even make a presence there. So I think a good independent run. But I like the guy. Like I said, I like the guy. But it seems like he's good. You know, it's just like, you know, his jets got cooled. Vince McMahon said, get rid of they're gonna say let him go because we're not using him. Fuck it. Extra baggage. Let's just, you know, clear the budget. So I think that's where he's gonna stand.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're saying, I think if he has a run on the indies and really shows everyone what he can do from a creative standpoint, from a wrestling standpoint, we see like nowadays, what's his name? Zack Ryder. What's his name? Matt Cardona. That's it. If you may not like him, and I can't lie right now, like in terms of his actual wrestling ability, I'm still not his biggest fan. But in terms of how relevant he is keeping himself, you have to take your hats off to the guy. Like, he is in and around everywhere. Every major indie, he's working. He's getting his name out there. He's using the internet to further storylines, and he's really grafting and doing what it takes. And you know, he's running around and taking most of these promotions top titles. And Ali, I think, probably has spades more charisma and creative ability than Matt Cardona. So I think Ali, if he done something similar, like he said in his message, he's not getting his message across in WWE. Now, whatever that message is that he's talking about, he can now do it freely if he is allowed to leave WWE. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, look, I love Matt Cardona. He's a great guy. If there's anybody who legitimately like loves his fans, it's Matt Cardona. He takes the time. If you go to a meet and greet or have a chance to meet him at these comic shows he goes to, or Comic Cons or whatever, he does a ton of them. You know, he'll take the time to have a conversation with you, you know, answer your questions, what have you. He's a great guy. Now, him going around the indies and going to fucking GCW to be the king of the fucking mud shows is fucking embarrassing. I don't think it does anything for him. It's fucking humiliating. I cringe every time I see a promo, him on Instagram promoting this godforsaken modern day East fucking W trash. It's fucking embarrassing. I hate these people. Look, but you are right about something. I'll give you something. He's done a very good job, and he did this when he was in WWE, as far as his character development and coming into his own, and the whole internet champion thing, which it's hokey, right? But I mean, that's what he had to do to make a name for himself, and WWE didn't like that. They didn't. But I mean, you go back to WrestleMania 32 when he in Dallas. I was there when he won the Intercontinental title, and it was a shock to everyone. And I turned around and looked at my buddies. I'm like, you know, he's losing it tomorrow, right? Sure enough, he loses it tomorrow, the next day to The Miz on Monday Night Raw. Yeah. So, but no, as far as character development and keeping himself relevant, he's in the NWA. He's on Impact. He did a couple of shows for AEW. So he is doing that. And I hope eventually he can get away from the mud show bullshit and just work on finding himself a character that would probably lead him back to the big time. I mean, WWE is obviously not knee-jerking right now to bring him back, and I don't think he really wants to go back anyway, but maybe where he can find a character where he would be in the top of the card, like in AEW or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it's very interesting. Obviously, we're just talking about Matt Cardona there, but we are talking about Ali. And I'm sure they will probably grant him his release. You know, Ali isn't, you know, Roman Reigns that they need to keep around or justify his pay. If he wants to leave and they're in the mood of getting rid of people, they get rid of Ali. It's what they've been doing. It's what they'll continue to do. So all the best to him. We'll watch this space and see how that develops. But you were talking about the mud shows, or you know, the lower grade shows such as GCW. So whilst we're here, let's turn our attention to John Moxley, because John Moxley is coming back. John Moxley is hopefully healthy, which I'm very happy to see. You know, I only assume he's stepping out of rehab because he's healthy. So that's good to see. Brilliant to see. However, he's not coming back for an AEW appearance, or at least that's his first appearance. He's going to GCW to defend his GCW World Heavyweight Championship against Homicide. What's your thoughts on this?
Oh God. Well, first of all, I'll say that, you know, we all hope that John Moxley's okay. You know, his mental health took priority there, and I hope he's all right and he's in the right mindset to come back. Whatever I think about whatever wrestler and what they're doing, their style is, or promos or whatever, you know, I don't want anybody to get hurt, or I don't wish anybody ill will, in other words. So I hope Moxley's on the up and up. And I even said that, you know, Moxley, whenever he decides to come back, is going to be bigger and better than ever. And I absolutely believe so. Unfortunately, he decides to have his first match defending the Mud Show heavyweight championship of the world. Why does Tony Khan allow his guys to be a part of this shameful embarrassment that they call wrestling? I mean, okay, so a friend of mine, a couple of months back, it was when Nick Gage wrestled Jericho on Dynamite, on AEW Dynamite, and I don't know if Nick Gage was the champion of GCW or whatever at the time. I think he had just lost the title to Matt Cardona, maybe. But anyway, she sent me a friend of mine. She sent me a picture of when Gage was sticking something in Jericho's forehead or something, the pizza cutter deal, and she's like, this is what wrestling is nowadays. This is what you want. And what the fuck do you say to that? That's what these GCW morons are fucking doing. Anyway, about John Moxley coming back to GCW. Why isn't he coming back to an AEW show? Isn't that kind of strange to you that he doesn't decide to come back on a Dynamite or Rampage, or maybe hold off a little bit to the Revolution pay-per-view, where I think they would probably fucking draw a big pay-per-view number for the John Moxley return? I think that's kind of weird. I don't get it.
I think well, I asked the exact same question, and I think what I've been hearing is maybe he's not ready for the touring schedule of AEW. You know, GCW is a one-off show. Exactly. That's exactly my reaction. So
they work one day a week.
Exactly.
Maybe two.
So they're saying, obviously, if he does AEW, then if he does GCW, then he can go from GCW and just go home and rest and maybe keep recuperating until it's time to go to AEW. But AEW, they're going from city to city, town to town, whatever the case is, and maybe he's not ready for that. That's what I've been told. But like, if you're ready to come back, then you're ready to come back, surely.
Yeah. Well, maybe he strikes me as the type of individual. He's, you know, he may actually, obviously, he has a prior obligation to GCW. Maybe he's going to say, well, I'm just going to drop the title and then take a rest. But definitely that when he does decide to come back to AEW, I mean, there's a lot of matchups there waiting for him. You know, you got Bryan Danielson, you got CM Punk, you got Adam Cole. I mean, how many guys have come in or made themselves present or, you know, relevant since he's been out? So that's going to be very interesting to see when he comes back. He definitely has people there to work with, you know, from a wrestling standpoint, not a fucking hardcore barbed wire chair throw, because he can do it. Look, a lot of people weren't fans of John Moxley and WWE, Dean Ambrose, because they were known for him from the independents and CCW and so forth. So he went in, he had to cool his jets and calm that down. I was a big Dean Ambrose fan, and I'm a big John Moxley fan. I just don't know why he reverts back to his old independent days. He doesn't have to do that no more.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Numero 1 Superfly has given us a comment. He says, probably for John Moxley, as mentioned, he can start wrestling a little bit just to see how he's feeling and then slowly transition back into the touring schedule of AEW. Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus, even though, like we're saying, AEW only seem to work, one day a week. But of course, it is the flying round and everything like that. But most importantly, it sounds like Jon Moxley is getting healthy again. So that's great news. I think we need to see him as a heel when he returns to AEW, especially. I think obviously there's going to be a big pop for him when he comes back, but if he does something on the night where he's back that turns heel, like immediately, like he kills somebody with a chair or something, I don't know. But
yeah,
I think we were going to heel Moxley just before he left. We were kind of going down that road.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's he going to do? Anything short of lighting puppies on fire and throwing them into the crowd to become a heel? Because, fuck, he just got out of rehab. Everybody relates to somebody having a challenge in that manner or what have you, a relative, a friend, or whatever. Who's going to fucking boo him just coming out of rehab and trying to present himself as really rehabilitated and so forth? Who's going to boo their fucking hero? You know what I mean? It's like Steve Austin once again when they tried to turn him heel and all that stuff. That's going to be really hard to do, before going into full gear. I'm pretty sure, like you said, that was the plan. We were going to have a heel Moxley and a heel Daniel Bryan. Now we have two top heels that people can work with. That's going to be very hard to do now. I mean, nobody's going to want to boo this guy.
Exactly.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it, but I mean, it's just whatever.
It's gonna be difficult, but like you say, it's good to see Jon Moxley back. Let's switch our sails over to WWE again, and as you mentioned, we have this forbidden door. Now, the Royal Rumble is usually the match every year where we get surprises. We get people coming in that we didn't expect to see them in wrestling again or in WWE again or whatever the case is. WWE have now more or less completely, they've named more than half of the Women's Rumble, including the surprises that are coming back or what should have been surprises. They have teased the fact that they are open to working with other companies and creating this type of forbidden door scenario. What's your thoughts on all of that?
Not much to do about nothing. I mean, look, it's not like Vince McMahon said, "Oh, we're having the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's call Mickie James back to make up, Trash Bag Gate or where the fuck it was." But I mean, no, it was somebody making a suggestion that, hey, why don't we call Mickie back or whatever? We need some stars. Or she accepted. They did the whole Impact deal, and the reason why WWE did that is because Impact is so irrelevant to them. They're not a challenge. They're not impeding WWE business or anything. It's not like Impact's going to get all of a sudden going to get 1 million viewers on their third-rate fucking TV program. It's just much ado about nothing. I think the only other person, if we're going to the Men's Royal Rumble, that might have a chance, and I'm talking about like slim chance if it happens, of even making an appearance from another company, is probably maybe Jericho. Maybe, which I would fucking hate to see. But I mean, anybody else is just going to be, somebody irrelevant, somebody the indie fans know, which I don't think Vince McMahon would even go for. Maybe Matt Cardona can make as Zack Ryder can make an appearance, a one-time shot deal. I can't think of really anybody else. I mean, why are people making a bigger deal that Lita is coming back? I mean, Lita, WWE Hall of Famer, and we saw her on SmackDown, and I think we're going to discuss that in a little bit. But just the Forbidden Door thing, it's just much ado about nothing. If they do bring somebody back, it's going to be legend or something, somebody that had some steam coming up. But we're not going to see somebody from AEW or NWA. Maybe what's his name? Morsley. What is it? The Impact? Big Cass?
W. Morrissey, yeah.
Maybe somebody like that, big guy, can come throw a couple people out and then throw them right back out and send them back to that fucking overgrown independent promotion Impact. But that's it. What do you think? Anyway, what do you think, Mix?
I think firstly with the women, in fact, we'll leave the Women's Rumble when we're talking about Lita. But with the men's and this Forbidden Door chat, like you said, I don't think it's going to be anybody. If they do it, I don't think it's going to be anyone special. I think it will be like you're naming ex-WWE guys. W. Morrissey, Matt Hardy, maybe. Chris Jericho, maybe. At a complete push, Brian Danielson. If you know, maybe. Because the Bellas will be there for the Women's Rumble. Zack Ryder, like you mentioned, is another possible name. It's going to be these guys that have, gone away, you know, remodeled themselves, got a new gimmick, look better, but will come back for a quick payday and will be thrown out the Rumble.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, you know, if you think about the hype of a Rumble and living in the moment, it will still get a pop. It will still be fun to see them. But it's like, if they do this, that's the caliber of names we're getting.
Yeah.
People are hearing Forbidden Door and thinking, oh, Okada's gonna come, or you know, Omega's gonna come. It's not happening. No way. It's not happening. Like, so I'll be surprised if we even see anything. If this is just a rumor, or if anything really does happen, or if it's just gonna be WWE legends of old. But yeah, when we're talking about Forbidden Door entrance, it's definitely going to be, you know, ex-WWE guys that are still on good terms with the company. Maybe Corey
even
Graves. They said he's
well, yeah, there you go, because he just got cleared. Or what about Braun Strowman?
Yeah,
or Strowman, whatever he's going back. But it's just going to be a one-off. It's just going to be a one-off deal. I can think of somebody, maybe, and the only reason why I think it probably won't happen is because I know he's booked some indie dates and that you know he's probably obligated to. Bray Wyatt might be another one. I think if Bray Wyatt to come back, which I think he will, I think before the end of the year he will not go to AEW. He will go back to WWE. If he does come back, it's going to be for a big long run.
That could be interesting. That could be
another
interesting.
permanent run.
They could, and hopefully this time they use him right. That could be fun. Numero 1 Superfly says in the chat, with a possible Forbidden Door opening, do you think they could bring Moose just for a one-off appearance in the Rumble? Maybe just participate for publicity for Impact. So that's the Impact World Champion Moose. Do you think he will enter the Royal Rumble?
Yeah. Well, I love Moose, man. I think wasn't Triple H trying to get him sometime back in NXT when his Impact contract ran up.
He signed a new Impact 3-year deal.
Well, given where NXT at now, I guess. Damn, he's like, whew, fuck. I made the right decision there. No, I'd love to see Moose. I'd love to see Moose on a higher platform, right? Yeah. I'd like to see a Moose in AEW, maybe not WWE, because I think they would just fuck up his character. But man, he's got. If you've seen him back in his old days when he first started Impact, his character development, his personality, his look, man, he's just moons away from what he was before. I mean, he can talk, he can wrestle, he's got that high impact offense. Man, I would love to see somebody like Moose go toe to toe with somebody like a Roman Reigns or a Bobby Lashley, or in the Royal Rumble throw 4 or 5 motherfuckers out. Yeah, I think I'd be very impressed by that. That'd be a good. If it was possible, I'd love to see Moose in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, we can see in the last few weeks he's been kind of angling for it as well. Especially angling for let me go toe to toe with Roman Reigns. If he says he's the head of the table, I'm the wrestling god. Let's do business. I can't help but think though, if WWE have access to these Impact guys, they're not going over. They're just not going over. Like, WWE guys are going to squash Impact guys all day long. Yeah. I feel it's very predictable. Don't you think that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, somebody like a Moose. I mean, wouldn't it'd be fucking sad to see somebody like Moose in the Royal Rumble and they get tossed out by like fucking Hornswoggle or somebody like that, or whatever the fuck, which is, I think, exactly what they would fucking do just to piss people off and show them that, yeah, they're down here, we're fucking up there. That's a reason why I wouldn't want to see Moose in there. But it's just, if it is going to happen, we got Mickie James in the women's, and it'd probably be somebody from a lower promotion, NWA, Impact, nobody from AEW or New Japan or whatever. it'll be like a Matt Cardona or a Moose or maybe a Strowman or whatever. It'll be a one-off deal and that's it. You know, nobody's going for a long run or anything like that.
I hear that, and that's definitely what I think as well. Sticking on the Rumble, but we're going to flip sides to the Women's Rumble. Like you said, we saw Lita return. Now, they said this on social media before Friday night. I think they said the night before that Lita's going to be on SmackDown. But the week before that, Charlotte had already said, you know, Michelle McCool, the Bellas, Lita, they're all going to be in the Royal Rumble. What's your thoughts on why they're announcing this? Because this isn't how the Royal Rumble works. We usually get about maybe 10 people on the roster that announce themselves. The rest of the roster, the rest of the Rumble is filled up with other people in the roster, but it's filled with, surprises and legends and comebacks and all that kind of stuff. Why are they announcing it? They've announced 19 of the 30 women in this. Why? What's the reason?
Well, I don't know. It might be because I initially thought maybe they're just running dry on talent to be in there. I mean, Charlotte's in it, which is I think that's a good idea that they had with Charlotte because she made the whole deal with, well, I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble because I'm going to be the first person to pick my opponent and kick their ass at WrestleMania because I'm the queen or whatever, which I think is a great idea. I think they did it with Brock Lesnar a couple of years ago, and I like that idea. But as far as the entrance, I think maybe because they were just running dry on talent. And if you look at who they've announced, it's either somebody who's either been has either been in the past women's Royal Rumbles or all of them. So except maybe the Bellas. I don't think they've been in it yet. Or I think they were in last year, I think. So, I mean, are there real surprises? No, none of them are real surprises. The only surprise is Mickie James, and that's about it. Lita, fuck. I think about Lita because the last time Lita and Mickie James, that's going to be interesting that they were in a match together that I can remember was Lita's last match, last serious match. And so they'll have – in the middle of the Women's Royal Rumble, they'll have a confrontation or a deal or a standoff or whatever. The only thing I can think of is the last time that happened for you folks, if you want to go back and check it out. Lita's last match at Survivor Series 2006. So Mickie James beat her like in 4 minutes. And Crime Time came out selling Lita's bra and panties to the crowd.
I remember that.
And JBL... let me sniff him, he says, and paid like $100, and they threw him in the crowd. And then Shad Gaspard, God bless Shad Gaspard, they took out what looked like a how can I say it? A female stimulation device. That's the way WWE treats their legends, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see. I like Lita a lot, but as far as any other entrants, how are they going to fill that? I assume just with whoever they have in NXT. I think they're going to get Raquel Gonzalez, and I think she's going to be the one to watch. And I think she's going to have the most eliminations. And if they really want to rock the boat, she'll win it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very, very good shout. I think they're going to put a lot of those NXT girls in there, like Io Shirai, more than ready to come to the main roster. Raquel Gonzalez could be good. Dakota Kai could be good as well. I think the women's roster, the Women's Rumble, would benefit more from this Forbidden Door situation than the men's, probably. But I just think it's just a missed opportunity. Like, imagine we're just watching the Women's Rumble, 3, 2, 1, sound goes off, and we see Mickie James enter with the Impact World title around her waist. Everybody, whether you like it or not, you would lose your mind, or even in confusion, like, what is going on here? Mickie James has just entered with the Impact Women's Championship, Knockouts Championship, and you'll be thinking, what have we got in store? But they've announced it. They've already kind of ruined it. I can't say that Mickie James is a draw. So certain situations you'll announce something beforehand because you want to sell tickets.
Yeah.
Mickie James isn't selling any tickets like that. So why did you ruin the prospect of such a good surprise?
That's a good point. They just think that Impact's just they weren't they weren't thinking from the aspect of, I guess they weren't thinking from the aspect that, how are fans going to feel, especially the hardcore fans. They're just like, let's just fill the Rumble. And like I said, it wasn't Vince McMahon saying, whoa, let's make it up to Mickie James because we made her look like shit, just like we do everybody else. Yeah, it's just somebody made a suggestion, and then Mickie probably came out and say, well, you got to mention Impact. You got to mention where I'm working. You got to mention the Impact title, this and that. And they're like, okay, whatever, because they don't give a shit about Impact. And then it was somebody from creative that said, let's just throw it out there. Let's not hold it back. Fuck it. Because how much of a surprise would it would have been a better surprise, like you said, how if they just would have kept everything quiet, and just had her as a surprise entrant with the Impact title, so forth and so on, and then everybody would have been like, oh shit. But now they'd announced it because Impact's just much ado about nothing. That's the way they feel about it. They're down here, we're up here. We're just making it up to Mickie, and that's that, And then as far as Lita's concerned, she's a Hall of Famer. They want to give her a payday. You know what I mean? They need to fill the match. People were talking about, well, she's going to make one last good run or whatever. I don't know if she said that herself, but it's just how long of a run. I mean, she's over 40. She used to wrestle that high fly kind of Impact style because she learned in Mexico how to wrestle the lucha style. She's probably had injuries and stuff. I don't know how healthy is she. She'll probably go, if she does have a run, until WrestleMania, and that's it. Maybe 3-4 good matches from there. So they're just trying to fill the match. That's it. Because they painted themselves into a corner because they don't have no talent. They're running dry.
Yep. Ben says in the chat that Impact wanted to make public the fact that Mickie James was going to be there because it was the night before Hard to Kill, which was obviously the pay-per-view last week. So maybe, they wanted to just shine something on Impact and them doing that pay-per-view, which was pretty decent, to be honest. But yeah, let's before we get out of here today, let's talk about Lita. Now, Lita's come out and been known that she was approached by AEW. She nearly went to AEW instead of making this WWE return. The women's division on AEW still needs work, in my opinion. Do you think Lita could have been, a better candidate to go over to AEW rather than return to WWE?
Yes, because I think her run in AEW would have had more importance and significance than it could have in WWE right now, because she could be a very good influence over the young talent that is there. Not that she wouldn't have in WWE. I just don't think WWE would have probably limited her influence, access, or capacity as a talent and or mentor, producer, what have you. They wouldn't have given her the time. Whereas she would have gone into AEW, Tony Khan probably would have hired her as a wrestler / producer / mentor, manager, whatever, coach, what have you. I think she would have had more influence on the talent. She could have probably contributed more. AEW, they probably would have had her wrestle a little bit more often. She would have had more input. So I think even though she probably wouldn't had a long run as a wrestler, I think they probably would have hired her as a coach or a mentor or what have you. I think she would have been more important, more of an influence in AEW than WWE.
Do you think maybe she chose the safe option? The fact that she's a WWE Hall of Famer. Do you think she chose the safe option in just going back to WWE and not ruining that relationship?
I think she chose the money.
Yeah.
I think she chose the money. I think we heard it with people like Randy Orton, like Edge, how they kind of flirted with AEW, but they weren't really going to AEW. I mean, let's be honest. They were using it as a bargaining toy, leverage to get a better contract with WWE. Because shit, can you imagine if Edge would have showed in AEW? Fuck, Vince McMahon would have shit. Same thing with Brock Lesnar or whoever might have flirted with AEW. So I think it's the same thing. I think she chose the money. I mean, there's just, when it comes down to it, Vince McMahon will throw more money at somebody who thinks it's more important, who's important to him, just so they don't show up on somebody else's television, AEW. So they probably did that with her. And I mean, they probably throw enough money at her where she probably don't have to fucking go around and do as much Comic Cons and signings and shit anymore. You know what I mean? Who knows?
That's true.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah. But I think a run for Lita between now and WrestleMania, maybe she gets a WrestleMania match. You know, Beth Phoenix is about. Maybe Lita versus Beth Phoenix or something at WrestleMania could be pretty interesting. Imagine they done that and like they went back to the days of Edge and Lita and like used that for storyline. That just came to mind. But yeah, maybe Lita's working her way to try and get a WrestleMania match out of it. We'll see. We're gonna speak about this again next week as we get closer to the Rumble, but as a couple weeks out right now, give me your prediction for winner for Women's Rumble and winner for Men's Rumble.
Dude, I don't know because, women's, I can see if she comes back because we haven't heard much about, or maybe you're the news guy, Meek, so maybe I haven't heard. If she comes back, I can see Bayley winning the Royal Rumble. The Women's Royal Rumble. Have you heard anything about her return?
I was just saying to someone before we came on that she has said she'll be back in March.
Oh, okay.
But that's her. She could be saying anything. But at the same time, she's been very vocal online recently, which was pointed out to me. So
I'll say if she returns, then she'll win it. But then let's take her out of the equation from what she said on social media. And Sasha, I believe she's out for a while, correct?
Apparently.
So I'm gonna say, I'll say if Charlotte said she's gonna be in it, so I think they'll have Charlotte win it, and then pick her opponent and make another milestone. For the men's, man, I hate to see it because I think they're just beating a dead horse with this one. Fuck, I think it's gonna be Drew McIntyre, but I think, damn, I think his
Drew McIntyre might miss it as well. He might miss the Rumble.
Is he hurt
right now? Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Damn it.
So he might miss the Rumble.
Dude,
he's closer. There's more chance that he's actually in the Rumble than those ladies we just mentioned. But apparently, right now, Drew might miss it as well.
Okay. So then, who else we got in there?
So I'll go with my guesses. Okay. My first choice is Brock Lesnar. Because I think Brock Lesnar is dropping that title to Bobby Lashley and he's going to enter the Rumble and win it to get to Roman for WrestleMania. So that's my first choice. Second choice is Big E so that they can give him another run at the title. Third choice, outside choice, Kevin Owens.
Oh, that's a long shot.
Yeah. For the women, I'm going with Bianca Belair. I think she's going to go around to getting Becky again at WrestleMania. And then my outside choice, like you mentioned, if someone wants to return from injury, is actually Asuka. If Asuka's to return and then win the Rumble and then face Charlotte at WrestleMania, that will be, a rematch of their 2018 match at WrestleMania. So yeah, that's my guesses.
Well, I'll go the other way around because you said Brock Lesnar, and I think I'll go the other way around. I'll say Roman Reigns because I think maybe that'll give the opportunity for Seth Rollins, who he's been getting some steam, getting a little bit of heat here. So I think like somehow Roman Reigns, whether it be shenanigans or whatsoever, he'll lose the title to Seth Rollins, and then Roman Reigns will enter the Royal Rumble and win it, and then pick his challenger, and then maybe we'll see Roman and Brock. Maybe he'll be enticed to challenge Brock Lesnar. And we'll get the third match between them at WrestleMania. I hope. I think. Well, I think I'll say, and I'll add this. I think this whole unification deal, it's dead in the water. I don't think they'll end up doing that anymore.
Okay, fair enough. I was just gonna say, imagine they done something like Roman actually retained against Seth Rollins, went into the Rumble anyway, won the Rumble, and then challenged Lesnar for the WWE title only. On like the second night of WrestleMania, maybe Roman headlines the first night defending the Universal Championship against someone, and then Roman ends up leaving WrestleMania with both belts anyway.
Yeah, what came to mind is New Japan kind of did something like that, right? With the Intercontinental in their title, their
and
world
the
title.
IWGP World title,
yeah. So I would. Well, you could see something like that, but it's just look. I wish they would go back with the unification idea if they flirted with the idea before, because I think it not only will legitimize whatever title they decide to keep, but also legitimize the lower card titles, because those guys are going to have to step up and make those titles relevant again, whoever decide to hold them, because right now they're a joke. At least Nakamura's run is anyway. Yeah. Damian Priest, he's doing okay, but I mean, that'd be one idea. But yeah, Roman Reigns, and then going back, Kevin Owens, I think would be a long shot. I know you mentioned him, but Roman Reigns, and I think I just might go with you and just say if it's not Roman, it'll probably Brock Lesnar. And then if we're going to give me a third choice, if he's in it, it'll probably Drew McIntyre. If he's in it, it'll be Drew McIntyre. And Drew, I think if they're going to unify the titles, Drew will say, well, I want to challenge both Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and winner take all. That's what I thought was going to happen.
When it takes all situation, bullshit. It's not far-fetched. We've seen them do it in the past before. Wow. What a news week. Guys, that is it. That is the show. Thanks for joining us. Please remember to hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to Wrestling Republic as well if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks to everyone that's joined us on Instagram. Make sure you cross over, get the full experience on the YouTube as well. Wrestling Republic on YouTube. We'll be back same time next week. Ignacio, any last words before we get out of here?
So everybody have a safe week. We'll be back next week with some more bullshit from WWE, some hopeful thoughts for AEW. Don't watch DCW. I'm saying it right now. Fucking bullshit.
They've got a pay-per-view in Hammerstein Ballroom this weekend coming.
Oh, fuck that. Rat-infested fucking bingo hall. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Fuck. Guys, anyway. We'll be back next week. Take care. We'll speak to you later.